Hello everyone, and welcome to my Umbrella Academy Season 4 review. So if you don't know, the Umbrella Academy was one of my favorite shows. I love all three of the first seasons. I love all the characters and all the wacky antics they get up to. It's just a fun show that's really easy to watch and entertaining for me. Which is why this most recent season of Umbrella Academy has me particularly annoyed. So I have two major problems with this season, but once we go over those, we can get into some of the more nitpicky stuff. So my first problem is the episode count. They made this season too short, because I just described the Umbrella Academy as a fun and easy watch, but this show is very complicated, especially this final season. So cutting the usual season episode count from 10 to 6 really hurt the show and its pacing. And it didn't ruin too much in the first half of the season. The first half is pretty solid. It's a little bit worse than usual, but it's nothing outstanding. So it really becomes a problem in the second half when they're really getting into the heat of the conflict, and we still just don't have a lot of crucial information because they had to cut out so much because of the pacing and how much time they had. My other major problem with this season is just Five as a character. They ruined him so bad. I cannot see a world where he would do those things to his brother and betray him like that. Like, he was a lovable a-hole before, but in this season they just turned him into a straight jerk, and it's clear that it was because they didn't know what else to do with him, which kinda sucks, but it just ends up dragging the season down significantly, especially in its second half. The feud with Diego, like the fact that this whole show has been about family throughout the entire thing, and in their final moments, Five and Diego die hating each other, is terrible. I hate that for them. That's such a terrible decision. Other than that, my final kind of nitpick is just that most of the characters don't really do anything this season. The only ones getting stuff done are Victor, and to a certain extent, Five and Lila, who discover the subway systems, and that ends up helping in the end, but it ultimately doesn't serve the plot all that much. So Victor is carrying pretty much the entire plot on his shoulders, while Klaus is off getting buried, and Allison is saving Klaus, and blah, 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 blah. Like, they're just all off on their own side quests, and it barely makes it feel like there's an actual plot this season. Which, speaking of the plot, going back to that episode count issue, we just don't know anything about the Keepers. We have no reason to believe that they're genuine threats, especially to the Umbrella's powers. And it just, like, they're just there the whole time, and they don't serve any true purpose. Like, they don't initiate the cleanse. Ben and Jennifer do that all on their own. They're just there to provide action set pieces in like a few episodes, barely. It just feels like had they been given more time, they could have made them far more interesting, compelling, and threatening villains than they ended up being. I will give the season props though. Other than the Diego, Lila, and Five love triangle, almost all the characters' interrelationships are handled very well. I especially loved Luther and Diego this season. Their chemistry on screen, especially in like the CIA action scene, which was pointless, sure, but it was fun, and it showed how much they like to be with each other and work together. So I liked that scene, and it also did a lot to help flesh out Klaus and Allison's relationship. I liked Klaus, how he cared so much for Claire, and Allison's perspectives on that, and it provided a good family dynamic that was resolved decently well in the final episode. Other than the obvious fact that it is annoying that they just erased the entire first 4 seasons actually from existence, leaving the only canon part of the show as like the last 3 minutes, if that. But a lot of the character moments and the action really helped carry my enjoyment throughout the season and kept some shred of my investment. So, other than the action and some of the characters' relationships, this season was a huge disappointment, and that led to a lot of my negative opinions in this video. So overall, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10, which is incredibly disappointing considering my expectations after the first 3 seasons. So, with that said, I will see you guys later.